Insurance DNA. So, everyone, welcome to the conversation with Royal Banks. He's the founder and business development officer of Assurance DNA. It's a paternity testing business that helps families get assurance in terms of the paternity questions. He kind of helps looking at his websites right here, prenatal paternity and paternity tests for legal cases and whatnot. I'm pleased to have him on the conversation today to tell us a little bit about how he started this business and how he runs it. And another unusual thing about him is he's a full-time U.S. Army officer in El Paso, Texas. So, Royal, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you, Chi. I appreciate it, man, for having me on and inviting me on. I'm actually I'm flattered because this is the first time I think that outside of a standard podcast, someone that writes and has bylines has reached out to me for an interview. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. You're welcome. So, Royal, let's get started. How did this business come about?
Yeah, it's a funny story. So my mom has been doing paternity testing for 20 years, about 21 years now. She started in 2001. So I grew up kind of seeing her build her own business to the point where it is now. And in 2020, I was looking to purchase a second mobile home in Virginia because I had one in North Carolina where I was last stationed at, and it just wasn't working out. I was trying to wholesale it actually, and it just wasn't. It was not working out.
And was that your primary resident, or was that a business, the mobile home?
It was a business. It was going to be like I was going to try to wholesale, like flip it.
Okay.
And just the process just wasn't working out. I'd have to leave from the base, especially as daylight savings time hit or whatever. When it gets darker earlier, I had to leave from the base, go to that mobile home, show it to people who hit me up on Facebook earlier, go back. It was just the DMV was closed because of COVID, so I couldn't even transfer title if I needed to. It was just a whole mess. It was just something I was like, all right.
And when was this? December 2020?
Yeah, this was like November, December 2020. And then mid November was when I just had a conversation with my wife. And I was like, this isn't working out. I think let's start a paternity testing company like my mom. And she had actually brought that up to me a few years prior when I was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And at the time, I just wasn't ready. Honestly, I just was not ready. I wouldn't have been ready for it at all. So flash forward December 2020, I go ahead and incorporate the business. We get started. I get my first client in January 2021, and then it's been on ever since.
Okay, so now let's move back a little bit. You said on the base, and then you go. So you are a full-time Army officer, right? So what are you? What's your full-time job?
So my full-time job is public affairs officer in the Army. Okay. So I'm essentially the Army's version of public relations. Corporate is public relations, government and Army and states and cities, public affairs. So I help tell the Army story, strategic plan communications for the base that I'm on, etc. So that's what I do.
Oh, okay. And you're able to, have outside activities
as long as my commander is informed of what I'm doing and she approves, I'm good to go.
Oh, okay, great. Because sometimes you would hear this and you'd be like, that's interesting. You never assume that
it doesn't. What I do does not intrude with my daily work.
With your daily work. Okay, good, very good. Okay, so he's busy in the Army. Working, and then he's trying to start his second side hustle. It didn't work, and then now you go back to your mom's business, which she's been doing for 20 years. So let's talk a little bit about that before we now jump into January 2021, right? So you've seen your mom run this business over 20 years, right? So what did you see, and why did it stick in your mind? Because kind of seems to me like you had the opportunity to do other things and you could have actually kept doing other things. So was that like a path that you always had in the back of your mind, or did you have other entrepreneurial ventures that you were working on?
Yeah, I've always been entrepreneurial, period, point blank. Like since I was 10 years old, I'm mowing lawns, raking leaves, doing all types of stuff. My mom's been doing this the entire time. It didn't really hit me of how I would say profitable. I wouldn't say profitable, but it didn't hit me how necessary this business was until 2013. After I graduated from college, I wasn't doing anything. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of just loafed around for about a year, and I helped my mom open up her actual office for paternity testing in Georgia. I helped her build her website. I helped her get on Google My Business, and I would just kind of see people come in and out for DNA testing and stuff like that. And I just saw the necessity for it, and I saw how easy it was to do a test. Like a DNA test does not take longer than 10 minutes to do. But if somebody's paying you $300, $400, $1,600 to do it, like that's amazing, and it's a necessary needed thing. So, flash forward maybe about 2016-ish, I said like maybe 2017, 2018. I was just trying to kind of help my mom do marketing, just in general, just like help her out. And I ultimately found it just a bit easier to start my own thing and have full control of my own thing. Not saying that obviously me and my mother are not at odds or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you do your own thing, you can fully 100% have 100% control. And I work with my wife and I consult with my wife and we make decisions from there. But it's just easier to do it that myself. It's been a fun ride since then.
Okay. So now you said the DNA testing was not hard. So what exactly does it take? Does it take like specialized skill, or can anybody just come off the streets and say, "Hey, I want to do a DNA test for you"?
Technically, anybody can, but anybody shouldn't.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Not everybody should do this because this takes attention. It's not hard. You don't have to have specialized skill. You don't have to have a crazy amount of equipment or a laboratory or anything like that. You're essentially a consultant or a middleman. But you do need to have emotional intelligence. You do need to have attention to detail for sure. And if you want to grow it, you need to be systems based. You have to think systems. Having a virtual assistant answer your calls, automate some things. You know what I mean? Like if you want to have it grow and be something to where you don't have to actively be running it every single minute of the day. So yeah, you don't. Anybody shouldn't just come off the street. People who want to just make a quick buck, this is not a side hustle. This is something that slowly grows over time. This is not, I want to set this thing up so I can make some money for Christmas. No, doesn't work like that. Because it's a slow build. So that's my thoughts on that.
Oh, okay. Now, when it comes to like doing the actual test, right? So that requires some type of scientific, lab and all that stuff. So how does your business work? Do you have like a lab that you own and run, or are you partners with labs?
I'm corporate partners for. I'm a corporate partner of one lab.
Okay.
And I'm distributor of two other labs. So technically, the words corporate partner, distributor, and reseller are interchangeable. When you set up partnerships or agreements with these laboratories. And so the laboratories, what they do is they're the ones who actually do the testing.
Okay.
I do the swabbing, or I can outsource the swabbing as well. We send the samples off to the laboratory to actually be tested.
So hold on a second, just for clarity for people that are going to read this. When you say do the testing and the swabbing, you're collecting the DNA material,
that is correct.
Right? Okay.
Yes, that is correct. It's a simple mouth swab that we use. 2 to 4 swabs depending on the lab that you use.
Okay.
It's just a simple cheek swab.
Okay.
Or if the woman is pregnant, we draw blood from her arm.
Okay.
For that. And that's it. And it's just sending off the samples and essentially just tracking the progress of the test and just letting the client know what the status of the test is and then releasing results to the client. That's pretty much it.
And when you say sending the samples, like DNA material, that's organic material. So you can't just put it in the mail and ship it off with USPS, right?
Put it in the mail, ship it off. We use FedEx.
Okay, but do you need to put it in like a frozen mailer or something like that? So
no, the blood samples have to be put in a specific type of container because it's considered hazmat in a way.
Okay.
This materials.
Okay.
The mouth swabs just get put into a little small envelope with the person's name on it, put into an envelope, dropped off at FedEx.
That's cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Okay. So you're a partner with these 2 DNA companies, and then what next? What else does it take to run the business?
Yeah, it's more so now lead generation from there.
Okay.
So you set up your Google My Business, you start contacting attorneys, you start setting up your search engine optimization to eventually get leads in over time. essentially that's pretty much what it is. You're trying to get inbound leads from the clients. If you're trying to get directly from the client, you're trying to get inbound leads. If you're trying to go B2B, which is more so getting with the attorneys, you're trying to reach out to attorneys, say, hey, this is what I do. You network with attorneys so that they can give you referrals. That's pretty much it. And you just receive your calls, you field your calls, you go through your sales script, your sales process. And then essentially, if the client wants to get the test, you go from there. They pay for the test, you do the testing, send the samples off to the lab, release results. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
So why would someone want to do a DNA test? What's the demand or the need for this in the market? Because right now, apart from most of us who've seen the Maury TV show, most people do not have any conception of why you would need a paternity test, in real life, apart from seeing it on a TV show.
A lot of people get it for peace of mind reasons. So there's peace of mind. I just want to know, hey, my name is Susie, and I just want to confirm which of these gentlemen is the father. Or I am this alleged father. My name is John. I want to make sure that I am the father of this child for either peace of mind or for legal court reasons. Court reasons being child custody, getting onto or removing your name from a birth certificate. Probate court, an alleged father passes away. He never established paternity. Now the siblings need to establish paternity or the children. Paternity needs to be established for, probate wills, etc., things like that. Immigration reasons. There's other reasons such as that. A woman may be pregnant and she wants to determine who truly is the father of this unborn child. That's another reason. So it's mostly the reasons. It all boils down to peace of mind or legal reasons. That's what it all like. Peace of mind means that the results cannot be used in court. So if it's strictly like, I just want to know and that's it, that's the separation right there. If it's for legal reasons, they do the test for legal reasons and they can use it for court purposes.
Oh, okay. So when it comes to legal and court purposes, how does that work? Does the court reach out to you or the lawyers, or do you reach out to them in some way? Because it seems like it's not an obvious link between, hey, go to Assurance DNA and
no, there's not actually. That's a great question. So when it's for court purposes, it can go one of two ways. 95% of the time, the client calls me directly and I ask them, what do you need this test for? Peace of mind only, or do you need it for legal reasons? And they'll say, well, I think I want to get my name removed off the birth certificate. And I kind of did a little bit of research and it says you got to get a paternity test. So they can either first go through the court and get a court order paternity test, and the judge can order all parties to do a paternity test. Okay. Or B, if all parties are generally willing, before they even have to go to court, they can just call me directly, get it taken care of, and they can have that paperwork already ready for court when they do go to court for whatever reason they go into court for. You know what I'm saying? And so, I've reached out to attorneys. I've walked in attorneys' offices and let them know, hey, my name is Royal. I'm with Assurance DNA. I'm a private agency. You can send your clients to me to get their DNA results fast. And they're like, we didn't even know something like this even existed. We thought we have to go through the court to schedule the paternity test and to get, the test done. And they're backed up 6 weeks, as opposed to going through a private agency who can get it done way faster. I mean, if somebody tests on a Monday, I can get the results on a Friday.
Okay.
Fast. So that's the difference.
Okay. So basically, you can offer this service to, I would say, well, if it's court, most likely family court, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Family court. That is correct. Yes.
So family lawyers and judges would be your best bet.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about numbers. So when it comes to numbers, how is the business doing, let's say on a monthly basis or on an annual basis? You started this in December 2020 and we're now in December 2022. So you've had at least 2 years of operations, right? So
sure. Yeah. So 2021, I did $23,000 in sales, so revenue. And I know you're big on this, because you report revenue versus net income. All right.
Yeah.
$22,000 in revenue, with about $8,000 to $9,000 in actual profit. My profit margins range about.
Well, so sorry, I missed that. So you said in 2021, your total revenues for 2021?
Total revenue, $23,000 total revenue for DNA.
23.
23,000.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then my profits after, paying the laboratories, advertising, paying the collectors was around $8,000 or so. That, drives your profit margins are around 30-ish%.
Yeah.
After paying everything. If you're not counting marketing, then they're a little bit high. But if you want to count your marketing and stuff like that, then it's about 30% or so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, and then for 2022, I'm at around 86,000 in sales right now. So revenues have not quadrupled, but tripled about ish or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then my profit margins are about the same for this year. I outsourced a lot more tests, so I have to pay a lot more collectors and collection fees. And I did a lot more of the prenatal paternity test when the woman is pregnant. That's a high revenue but lower profit margin test. So that shot my revenues up, but my average profit margin has gone down just a slight bit. But it's an in-demand test, So
which one is an in-demand test? Say that again, sorry.
The non-invasive prenatal paternity test is an in-demand test.
Oh, why is it?
Well, I think a couple of things may have something to do with it. First off, just in general, even as I ended the year in 2021, the calls for that spiked.
Okay.
Just pregnant, want to find out who the dad is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and across multiple of the DNA agency friends that I have, once Roe v. Wade got repealed, then that spiked it as well, because they want to know who the father is before they make a decision with their pregnancy wherever they can. You know what I'm saying? I learned the term pregnancy management from one of the laboratories that I was talking to. Hey, they want to know this stuff as early as possible and as fast as possible to make whatever pregnancy management decision they want to make where they can in the state that they're in. So that's why it is going up. Or that's why I believe it is going up.
Okay. So was the decision on Roe v. Wade, was that a big driver?
I think so. I think it has had something to do with it, and it probably also my SEO kicking in. Reviews, all that stuff. I would say about 1 in 3 calls that I get are for pre. Say about 1 in 3.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. Mm-hmm. So first year profit 8,000, second year profit about 26,000.
Yeah.
On revenues of 86,000. Mm-hmm. So what do you think you're going to do for next year? Do you have any?
I think I'll surpass 6 figures in revenue.
Okay.
For 2023. Well, actually, I won't say I think. I know I will.
Okay.
I'll surpass. The goal is to do $150,000 in revenue for 2023. And the reason why is because, like I said, SEO is kicking in. The Google profiles are doing well, and then my main strategy to get those revenues up is to cement those relationships with attorneys, process servers, etc., in multiple cities to say, hey, I'm your go-to guy. Refer me for all your paternity testing needs. Eventually get in with the courts, etc., so I can get that referral stream, that referral pipeline coming in. It's a little bit different when you have a lead coming in that is straight just off of Google. They're calling, they're doing it themselves, and so they're price shopping. They're more so price shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple of attorney referred paternity tests this year, and there is no price shopping because the attorney is telling them, go here to this. This is a vetted agency. Go here. So by the time the client gets to me, it's already been paid for. There's no questions about price and all that stuff. It's just they've already been warmed up. It's a referral. So I'm trying to get that pipeline definitely more engaged for 2023 and beyond.
Oh, okay. And when you're talking of replicability of this business, how can other people do it? Because it seems like your agency is, from your website, you said nationwide, right?
Yeah.
So if it's nationwide, so I would expect, hey, I want to control the market, maybe have a monopoly on this. But I also know that you run Paternity University School where you teach other people how to do this. Mm-hmm. So could you give some examples of, hey, if somebody were to start this up, what's a good city to start this in, or can you just start it anywhere, or things like that?
Yeah, you can start it anywhere. It's just that it would be ideal if you're near a population center of at least 250,000 or more people.
Okay.
Just for call volume, because
Okay.
what drives this business is just incoming calls.
Mm.
That's what drives it. So if you're in a city with 10,000 people, it's probably not going to be very ideal. And then if you're near a city, at least on the outskirts near it, you could market to a city that has at least 250,000 people at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go from there, and then you can also market to all the outskirts cities as well. My mother does that in Atlanta. She markets to all the outskirts cities and brings in clients from places further out in the greater Atlanta metro area and deeper into Georgia that are they're not marketed to at all. Because most people just only want to start in the city of Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
So yeah, at least a city of 250,000. There are some smaller cities that are completely they're unmarketed to. There is no market, and there's decent capability to grow a business there. And then from there, you can choose to expand. You could do your SEO and then go nation. Now the thing is, I tell this to people all the time, to my students and to people who are interested. In 2017, don't quote me, between 2015 and 17 or so ish, there was an article that was written that talked about how many paternity tests are done a year. And that number, if I'm not mistaken, was about 1 million or so at that time. All right. That was going on essentially 6 to 8 years ago. Right. I'm pretty sure that number has gone up. I myself cannot do every single paternity test in the United States. I can't. I don't have the bandwidth. The laboratories that we're partnered with don't have the bandwidth to do every single paternity test in the entire United States. They can't. If there's 2 million people that need paternity tests, one lab can't do it all. They can't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they have distributors to do it. And even the distributors, let's just say you're in the city of Houston and 100,000 people are inquiring about paternity testing a year. And let's just say 30,000 people actually go through with that test. You're not going to do all 30,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. You can do 500 and do perfectly fine. You can do 1,000 and be rich. So, people ask me about competition. Hey, don't you want to just control the entire market? No, I can't. I don't have the bandwidth to do that. I wouldn't be able to. And then, there are opportunities out here for I wouldn't say everyone, but people who are willing to put in the work for sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting because here in Canada where I live, maybe there's only one lab, maybe two in the whole province where I live in Ontario. And you don't see a lot of varied DNA blood testing companies. Just two labs, literally. Yeah. But most of the time it's mainly only one. So it's like, to me, if you're in the United States, which you're in, I would say, okay, these guys know there's a big volume, there's a big need for this sort of thing. Why don't other smaller, entrepreneurial people start up their own labs and run the test and have people like you who can be distributed collecting the samples and whatnot. So they don't invest too much in operations, but they just say, hey, let me park my lab in Houston. And then I can have people like Royal and others go out all over Texas and get samples, mail it to us, and we do that.
A lot of the distributors prefer to use laboratories that are what is called American Association of Blood Banks accredited, AABB accredited. Okay. A lot of the smaller labs don't have the AABB accreditation. The AABB accreditation is an agency. It's non-governmental, but it basically is quality assurance for paternity testing and blood testing and just anything of that nature. And so the courts that receive those paternity tests for court purposes, they prefer those tests to be AABB accredited.
Okay.
There are only, to my knowledge, 2 AABB accredited labs, not in the United States. There's more. There's only 2 that offer a reseller distributor program. So,
wow, okay.
And it costs. I've spoken to one of the chief scientific officers at the lab that I work with, and they're a smaller lab. They're not as big as DNA Diagnostic Center, which, if you ever seen Mario Paternity Court, that's the lab that does all those tests. It costs 5 figures at least for that smaller lab a year to keep up that accreditation. So therefore, if somebody just wanted to set up a lab and then want it to be AABB accredited. They have to consider that cost as well. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not.
But it's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to determine how your distributorship program is going to be. So I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not. It's definitely probable for sure. But like I said, there's, I think, about 17 AABB accredited labs in the United States, and only like 2 of them offer any type. Well, LabCorp as well. LabCorp offers one as well. So 3.
Okay.
Offer a reseller program, 2 of which offer reseller programs that are relatively affordable for the distributor to actually make a profit. So that as well. But other people do have just like other people do set up like labs that do just general diagnostic testing, blood testing, STD. There's certifications for that as well, for sure. Or if you want to get into paternity and relationship testing, that AABB accredited, that's like the gold standard, man.
Yeah, that's the main barrier to entry.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. But like I said, not impossible. Just things to consider.
Okay, cool. So now as we start to wind down the conversation, let's talk a little bit about, how because you teach this in your paternity university. How many students do you have in your program?
About 140, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, about 140. About, I would say about 30 or so are active. You know how that goes. People sell, you sell courses or you sell, information products, and not everybody is ready at that exact time that they buy to actually make that action meeting. Some people take them a little bit longer because they got to get some stuff squared away with their personal life or whatever, and then they get back to it. But they have access to information forever. So yeah, I got about 140 or so ish, and then about 30 are like actively running their business.
So 80-20. 20% are doing the most.
Yeah. Just because it's not, hey man, it's not. It's easy, but it's not easy.
Easy. Yeah, I get you. So this is not something where you can just say, oh, it's a side hustle where I just want to turn it on and then go collect the swab and then
it's
you have to actively work at it for you to make it work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And all the students who are bringing in additional income for themselves that they are at their comfort level for, they are actively working on it. Like, this is their thing. They are becoming becoming the subject matter experts in their city. That's what I wanted. It's not just only the selling of the course, but it was also establishing a network of millennial and essentially Gen Z and then Gen X as well. We have Gen X students recently as well, but essentially newer aged DNA agency owners across America, establishing that network. I've had a couple of students who, one's in Boston and one's in Atlanta, right? So the student in Atlanta gets a call from a client. Hey, I need a paternity test, but the alleged father's in Boston. Guess what my student does? She contacts the other student that's in Boston to set up a collection. They pay each other. This is off everything. They just handle all that on their own. That's what I want. That's what I want, is a network of people that can trust and work with each other across the entire country, that are established and that are setting up good reputations in their cities to be known as the subject matter experts, no matter what age you are. That's what I want.
Okay. So you have 30 students running this. So if you were to say, give your cliff notes for this article, 4 or 5 steps someone needs to take to start this business, what would you tell that person?
The first step, and I don't want to be like facetious, but like the first step, more than likely you're gonna have either A, you get Paternity University, or B, you go to my YouTube and watch all my videos.
Okay.
And you can see what to do from there. So like the first step is just getting the knowledge on this.
Get the knowledge.
The information on this, as of right now at least, is not on the internet other than my information. Like, it's not. I couldn't even search for it. The only way I knew about this business,
because you had somebody that was in the
business. I had my mom. That's it. The only way I added other aspects of this business was because I had to literally search and find a Black mentor in this business that was willing to talk to me. I specifically sought out an African American. That's what I sought out. It was hard to do that.
Why? Let's talk about that for a little bit. Why do you think that other people were not willing to like bring somebody new, somebody African American?
You know, some people, and obviously, I'm not giving this to gender or race. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
They view a younger, or they view somebody coming in as competition, so they don't want to.
Yeah, true.
Right. So it was hard. Like I'll reach out, they wouldn't respond. I'm like, hey, I am way out in West Texas. Okay, I'm not trying to control your area of wherever you're at. All right. Mm-hmm. So it was hard. And the thing is, even this gentleman that I reached out to, and he helped me a lot. He helped me with systems. He helped me understand systems and processes and establish relationships with more labs. Even he has said the only way that I knew about this business was somebody had to talk to me about it in person, everything in person. There's nothing on the internet for this. There's no articles. There's nothing. There's like my YouTube page, right? There's no public facing knowledge. So I say all that to say, if you're going to start in this business, either three things, you know, step 1A, B, and C. All right. Step 1A, Paternity University. Step 1B, go to Paternity University YouTube, and if you don't want to, you know, get the course completely fair, gather everything from that YouTube and go on about yourself. Step 1C, try to find a local paternity testing agency in your area and talk to them.
Find a mentor in the business.
Find a mentor in the business. You're gonna have to call around, and I mean, the folks are like shadows, man. It's hard to find people. But if you find somebody, ask them, and then even, you know, maybe you can find somebody outside of your area, so you know there's no that fear of competition. But that would be it. So step 2 is, once you gather that information, just whether you do Paternity University, however, just ask as many questions as you can. Like, review all the information, ask questions, because it's like a fire hose of information. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot. And so ask those questions. Step 3, I would say, just start taking action. Like, don't sit, don't wait, don't you know, ruminate for 8 months over what your logo is going to look like, or what the name of your LLC is going to be. Like, it doesn't ultimately it does not matter of those things. Ultimately, revenue generating activities. Your logo is not a revenue generating activity, is it? It is not.
Neither is your websites, to be honest.
Yeah, not really. It's I mean, it's presence, yes. It's establishing presence, yes. But what matters is you getting those inbound calls, right? So then taking enough action to get to the point where you're starting to get those inbound calls and inquiries. And then step just to continue to be a student. I'm continuing to be a student. There was something I got stumped on last week. I had to call the laboratory up and was like, hey, can I do that? No, you can't. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. I didn't know that. And I called the client back. Hey, I'm sorry, but we can't do this. You know what I mean? So just continue to be a student, still learn, you know, actively engage. If you're in the Paternity University community, you got 140, but really, you know, 30 or so other DNA agency owners in the channel, in the Slack channel, constantly talking and communicating and cheering each other on. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you got your first test? That's awesome. Let's do another one. So just continue to learn and be a student.
Now, I think there's one thing I missed, which was the running of the day-to-day. I know you have your day job as a U.S. Army officer. So who manages the inbound calls and going out to get the samples and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. So here's how it goes. I took, because I did one today, about 2 hours before we got on this call. A client paid for a test, and we all made it happen. By the way, I never saw the client. All right. So call comes in. I have an app on my phone, and my virtual assistant, she has an app on her phone where we see the calls coming at the same time. She picks up most of the time. She picks up, unless she's at lunch or something like that. She picks up. All right. She answers all the questions because she's been working with me since July, so she's trained up on essentially everything. She can answer most questions. 9 out of 10 questions she can answer without my help. If the client, let's just say the client wants to go ahead and pay for a test, we require payment prior to the actual appointment. So we send an invoice or take payment over the phone. From there, we send out instructions to where they're going to go to get their DNA collected. If I am off of work, I will do the collection myself. Most of the time, I'm not off of work. I'm at work. So we send that client to a partner that I'm with out here in El Paso to get that collection done. That
So,
collector.
so when you say a partner, is it another company or an individual who go and do the swabbing?
It's another company. It's a franchise.
Okay.
That I like to use. It's a franchise that I like to use that's based around the United States, and they have a location here. So I send my client over there, and usually the clients they're not like, oh well, how come I'm not going downtown to your office? And sometimes they'll ask, and sometimes I'll be 100%. Hey, I'm active duty Army. I'm not there right now. I'm gonna send you to this place. This is my partner. She'll take care of you, and they'll just say, okay. You know.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, you know, I don't lie. I don't say, oh well.
Yeah.
You know.
So no. I just wanted to be clear because, well, like, if somebody's going to take it, what stops somebody from saying get like a Task Rabbit or what's this other thing? DoorDash person to just go, hey, open your mouth, wow.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. You know, if you that's facility, but when you
could you say that again? Could you say that again?
If you're getting somebody else, if you're a client and you pay me to do a DNA test, and then you as that client say, I'm gonna try to fake the funk and get somebody else to swab. It's just like, okay, I mean, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, but all right. But we have certain protocols for that. I literally was just dealing with a client in Toronto the other day, specifically for that. Just sometimes it's a lot of drama with these. So there are either side does not trust the other side and does not believe that they will be the ones who actually go get tested. So the safeguard that we have is the chain of custody paternity test, where they get a picture taken of them, they get their ID, a picture of their ID taken, they sign off that, hey, I am the one that is taking this test. They get swabbed, it's sealed, nobody else touches it, and it's sent off to the laboratory. That is the proof that person took, because that's upheld in court. So that's how we prevent. If any of my clients, like I said, I had one this week that was doing kind of, how do I know he's going to be the one to take it? Well, we have this. So this is the price for that, for that type of test, and that's the procedure for it. Okay, well, I'm going to need him to FaceTime me while he's doing it. That's between y'all. You can do that. You too, if you want to FaceTime.
But you already have chain of custody proof.
We have that already set, so that you don't have to be. Now with an informational test, there is no chain of custody. It's just straight up, you just go on the swab. So some people, they don't want the home paternity test kits. I can say, hey, I can send you a home kit. I can send him a home. No, I don't want that, because I don't know if he's going to get his brother to swab or not. Fair enough. Come into our office and get a chain of custody test, because we'll know who all tested and is signed off by the client and the collector. And especially if I get eyeballs on you, if I get eyes on you, you're the person, then we're good to go. Yeah. So that's how that test went. So at 12 o'clock Mountain Time, a client went in and got collected. I've been paid already. The samples will arrive at the lab tomorrow, and the results will be ready by Friday. So I never saw the client. I spoke to the client once, but today I did not speak to the client. So that's how I operated.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. Well, thanks a lot, man, for coming to tell us a little bit more about how this business is operated and ran. And so it was a pleasure having you on the conversation today.
Thank you, Chi. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Man, that was good. That was pretty good.
Yeah. No. Hey, man. I mean, I try. I've over